Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are back. NLL Flash here for another season, back for a redemption tour. My name is Tino Fera. I will be your host for this episode and going forward, and we are going to hit you up with some preview episodes heading into the regular season for every team. We're going to start off with the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. But before we get there, we need to introduce our first analyst, Mr. Austin Owens of Lacrosse Flash. Austin, how are you doing?
Tino, I am good. Thank you for having me on. This inaugural episode is an honor that shouldn't go to me, honestly. I think I was probably the third or fourth call on the list, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Hopefully Patty or Teddy can come through next time and bail me out.
Come on, they get their screen time. You know it's time for you to make the bump. But without further ado, let's just hop right into it. So Las Vegas, obviously the brand new expansion team. First ever offseason for these guys. Can you walk us through what their biggest offseason move was?
So I would say that the biggest addition for the Vegas Desert Dogs obviously was Rob Helier. A guy that's been in the league for a very long time, since 2011. He has a championship with the Toronto Rock. I think when you look at him, his track record speaks for itself. He's a shifty righty that can just come in and, he can run the offense. He's been able to prove that he can play in that two-man game alongside Tom Schreiber. Dan Dawson has been a part of that team as well. He's a consistent 80 to 90 point guy, and I believe he topped out at 113 points a couple seasons ago. So he's a guy that can put up numbers. He's got one of the best first steps in the league. And frankly, Vegas, went really young in the draft, and they needed a guy like Rob Helier that has that championship and playoff experience, and that guy that can be the guy for the Desert Dogs this season. Sean Williams, I think we all know he's kind of looking ahead to the future with this team, and I don't blame him with an expansion franchise. But the biggest thing for them is going to be to have that guy. I think when you look at Panther City last year, it was Benesh and Randy Stotts coming in. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Rob Helier to succeed right away with how good of a player he's been and, how successful he's been over his career. But yeah, he's going to be the guy that's going to have to run this offense. And, I don't think you could find a better guy, only 30 years old, that you can come in and just plug and play right now.
Yeah, I think you nailed it right there, talking about the experience as well. And, he's a guy that dealt with some injuries last season. Hopefully he's going to be good and healthy going into training camp and ready to go for a long season. Cause like you said, he's going to be the guy. But, keeping with Vegas, give me a player to keep our eye on through the season.
So it was tough because I was going to go with Rob Helier again. I think he's obviously the guy that's going to, like I said, have a lot shouldered on him. But another guy on the back end that I'm really interested in, Travis Cornwall, obviously a guy that's been with Saskatchewan Rush for a very long time. Talk about championship experience. He's had loads of it alongside his brother Jeff and, all those great guys that are in Sask. He's just a steady presence, right? He's 6'2", big body. He's played in those big games. He can he can control the defense. He's not, I don't know if he's going to be the biggest voice in that locker room. You got guys like Tor Reinhold and other guys that have been leaders. So he's not necessarily going to have to be the the be all end all, the voice of that defense. But he's going to be the guy that's leaned on heavily because you have a lot of young guys in this. I look at Jackson Subak's a guy that comes out, Griffin Hall, all these young names they're bringing in. They're very good players, but they have kind of limited to no experience. Another guy I'm interested in seeing is James Barclay. I think he's a guy that's flying under the radar a bit this year, and he's going to take a step. But Travis Cornwall, I think, right off the hop is going to be a guy you notice for a lot of good reasons when it comes to the Desert Dogs. He scores goals. He can get out in transition. He can be that guy that's, a thorn in your side on defense. So he kind of just checks all the boxes for somebody that, an NLL defensive coordinator loves to have on their team.
Being an expansion team, expectations are always kind of up in the air a little bit. Nobody really knows what to expect right off the bat until you see everybody on the floor. But we know this is going to be a very well-coached team with Sean Williams behind the bench. In your opinion, what has to happen for Vegas to make the playoffs?
For Vegas to make the playoffs, it's tough because they come in with that kind of stigma of an expansion team, right? We had it with Panther City last year where it's like, we don't expect a whole lot from them, but they're a team that could, make a lot of people look silly for their preseason predictions. We could be one of them. You never know. We'll see. We counted Panther City out last year. They ended up making a really big run down the stretch and, really proving a lot of people wrong when it came to their preseason predictions. To make the playoffs, I think it's similar. You kind of use the playbook that Panther City had last year, and it's just your young guys have to be the best players on the floor, not necessarily every night, but they have to, take that next step in their in their production. Helier is going to be there every night. Cornwall is going to be there every night. Barclay, Reinhold, guys like that. Jacob Rouet is a guy I didn't mention before that's going to be big on the righty side on offense. It's all going to rely on, you saw last year with Panther City, Patrick Dodds, Will Malcolm, they both stepped up and had huge seasons on offense. Charlie Bertrand had a really good season last year with Rochester. He's going to be huge. Kirst is going to have a big year. Sam Firth is a guy I know pretty well from the Beaches. He's a very good lefty that showed his promise, in the NLL finals. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the biggest guy in net is going to be the biggest thing is Landon Kells. 21-year-old goalie, backed up Christian Del Bianco last year. He's just kind of being thrown into the fire, and it's sink or swim with him. It's, you're going to probably face, 40 to 50 shots a night. You've had very limited experience in the net. You faced NLL shooters, in practice and in warmups last year, but now it's show us what you can do. They put a draft pick, into him and made that investment. So it's going to be important for them to, see what he can be, because really, Panther City last year had Damude, they had Orleman, two pretty established goaltenders in the NLL in their own respect. It's kind of a question mark with Kells. It's a little bit rambly here, so I apologize. But just, he's going to be one of those guys, maybe kind of like a Rylan Hartley a couple of years ago, where he's not necessarily, reached the top of his development yet. He's just getting started. But we're going to find out what he is right away. And, if he's good and if he, can make the saves, he doesn't have to be a star. We're not expecting him to be Matt Vince off the bat. Like that's unrealistic expectations, obviously. But, make the saves you're supposed to make, and you give your team a chance to win every night. I think that's kind of the expectation. If he does that, who knows? They could make a run like Panther City did last year.
Either way, one thing is for certain: Vegas will be coming in hot. Austin Owens, thank you very much for joining for the very first episode of the NLL Flash, our first preview episode. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.